Nania shoto ki la sava somuria katinkiara, silva sopora vehea, mani mela kotavihi porkotavi shabeliharo. Ninike kitea savishono. Plezo vatonge kishe tialahite kivaliana. Mashavian shokota heliana kilisa vasonto kivasho. Mongoya elihina e tevahia. Katavasomonomia. Niki shasava soparavihio. Momo. Mamo dakiela kitevahawo. Te shito ikiana. Avashimi shiva shoma. Kiva tundoya iniki kiala. Lopotoya. Mushivisondo. Tichi kitavalialo. Mendele hano kutavisa parovsha. Hey everybody, had a little intro there. Today is, as you perhaps have already noticed, Good Day, Good Love, and Good Light, is dedicated to my own synchronicities and the elephant spirit and the elephant guides, and how we as spirits walking around, channeling a physical body, how we send and receive information to and from ourselves, our higher selves, how we love to leave ourselves breadcrumbs and synchronicities. And when we engage more and more in the synchronicities, which is one of the things that Dave and I love to do. So thank you for joining us. If you're new to my channel, I'm Wendy. This is my husband, Dave. And one of the things that we love to do is share impromptu messages, excitements, synchronicities. And this is one that I've been kind of playing with for a little while now. And it's got a lot of little breadcrumbs that I wanted to share with you. So thank you for joining me and sharing with my highest joy, as I hope that these synchronicities, that these sharings inspire all of you to start to recognize that you are always in contact with your higher selves and your spirit guides. And even when we don't think we are, and we're out there in our most challenging moments, asking for help, looking for signs, where are my guides, and how do I hear them better? How many times have we all asked, how do I know? How do I know if I'm hearing them? And well, one of the ways is by ways of synchronicities, because that's what this is all about, is the idea of orchestrated synchronicities, that everything's in perfect timing. So with that said, I wanted to take a moment to share with you, I was having a really rough day, and I was asking my guides and my ancestors and my mother, my grandmother. So I want to kind of start a little bit with that, is the grandmother idea, and because that's been very prominent lately also from my own ET guides. And if you're not familiar with our sister channel, Open Contact TV, as I'm never sure where these videos may end up, depending on if the content is a little bit more geared toward open contact or light language, and sometimes they intermingle. So depending on where this video is being broadcast, it's all part of the same story, actually, in my own journey with light language and the languages of lights, and how it began with me, and how my own light circuitry codes and codexes started coming through when I started working with Syrian sacred circuitry. And lately I've been guided more fully, not more fully, I've been receiving more strongly as an antenna. We're all receivers, we're all antenna, more and more information about the idea that these sacred circuits brought to us through Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anka, Bashar.org. The event goes all the way back to 2010. And when I first discovered these symbols, I started utilizing them, working with them immediately. However, what I wanted to reiterate here is that the closer we are getting to open contact, the idea of the celebration of not only World Contact Day, the 70th anniversary this year, of which you're all invited to our party, it is also the 26th anniversary of the sighting of the Phoenix Lights, which if you're not familiar with, please do a little research. But it was a mass sighting. And the pilots are the avatars. The pilots are the Yael. The Yael will be instrumental. They are one of the hybrid races and will be instrumental in joining us with our hybrid children, another subject that we'll be talking a little more and more about in my own feelings and experiences about how and when all these things came to be. However, a lot of this stuff was activated through these channelings and through these sacred circuitry, which I wanted to share with you in a couple of different ways. Now, I may break this up into a couple of videos so that they're kind of in shorter pieces if it starts to get too long. But part of the synchronicities are my own asking for guidance, and that the elephants were part of that synchronicity for me. My great-grandmother, who happens to be named Louise, happened to be, as she has transitioned, and at one point we were 5 generations. My oldest child, my firstborn child, became the 5th generation. So there was a time when we had all of us in a photograph with 5 generations, which doesn't really happen, I don't know, as often as I think it's a little unusual. Well, at least in our culture, it seems to be. Anyway, with that said, though, my mother also, being named after her grandmother, my great-grandmother Louise, also carries the name Louise. And so the funny thing is that I was asking for guidance, and asking for my mother's, literally asking my ancestors, for clarity. Am I really hearing you? I need your help. I want an answer. And it's by way, when we ask, the answer is always given, and we get to hear it the way we want to hear it and the way we need to hear it. And for me, it was the synchronicity of the elephants, in that my great-grandmother, Louise, she began collecting elephants. Now, I'll say I think she only had a couple, and people started saying, oh, you must be collecting elephants. And so she ended up collecting elephants and ended up with a lot of them. Hundreds, to say the least, and only a couple of which I actually have, and one of them is the very first one that I opened with the video. And there's also the idea that the elephant is the largest land mammal, and the whale is the largest sea mammal. So I just wanted to put that out there to rest on that for a moment. And the connection to the animal kingdom, specifically the elephants, seems to be a very familial connection. And with that said, I wanted to just share this. Now, this was actually kind of gifted to me through Dave, and it came from Qatar, if I'm not mistaken. The Middle East. And the reason and I know you guys can't really see this, but one of the reasons I wanted to kind of highlight this, especially now because of Open Contact and the Yael reaching out to I know all this doesn't seem related, but there's a little tiny baby elephant inside of there. And I know it's kind of hard to see, and I want to be gentle with this. It's actually pretty heavy, beautifully carved and made. And so this was only recently kind of gifted to me, only in the last few years, but it felt very significant today in the idea of celebrating family, our connections to the kingdoms, the animal kingdoms, all of them, and so forth. But and part of the synchronicities with the circuitry and the elephant, which was very strange. So the day that I was asking these questions, I ended up meeting for the first time. So, hey, Louise, if you're out there watching, the day that you commented for the very first time was the day, either the same day or the day after, I had been looking for all these signs and synchronicities from my grandmother and my mother. And the interesting thing was, is if I remember correctly in my so-called past, I did a video sort of talking a little bit about ancestry, and the ancestor card came up. And so for me, that also helped me, my own synchronicity of understanding that I was getting my answers. And then the very same day, someone who I hadn't talked to in a long, like years, who also happens to have the name Louise, happened to just pop in and say hi to me. It was, so I wanted to share that part of that synchronicity, because it was because of this, like looking at the elephant, thinking about my great grandmother, thinking about my mother, asking for signs and synchronicities. You know, we're never not on our path, but we're sort of always looking for, you know, am I doing the right thing by, you know, coming out and being myself, and what do we have to fear except for more of finding ourselves? And so by me sharing these signs and synchronicities with all of you, it feels as if I'm also confirming my own breadcrumbs. And so by you guys sharing and commenting, it also triggers little, you know, synchronicities for me and gives me answers to my own questions as I intend for these videos and these sharings to help inspire and, you know, illuminate things within you. So I wanted to share that I had been in this little consignment store a couple of times. It's one that we frequent, and I'm all about reduce, reuse, recycle. So I'm always shopping at thrift shops and consignment stores, and I happened to see this particular picture, and I didn't buy it the first time through, and I forgot how much it was. It wasn't very expensive, maybe $5 or something like that. And I thought, wow, something just triggered me when I looked at it, and I thought, I need to have that, you know, but my little belief systems, I was in there looking for something else. And so I just thought, well, you know, I don't really need to, you know, and we're on a really, you know, budget, and I'm watching my pennies, and I thought, you know, anyway, so I passed it up. And, you know, the funny thing is that we went in there again, I don't know how many weeks later, maybe even a couple months, and there it was. And so I took a closer look at it, and I told Dave, I said, you know what, I have to have that. And so I picked it up and I looked at it. It was $1. So in the spirit of having what we need when we need it, and following our instincts, it was $1. So for me, for $1, that helped open up a door to me. And because there was something so weirdly synchronistic about it, and it wasn't until I hung it up right behind me that I realized what it was. And so that was one of the things I wanted to share with you. So how are we doing on time? Let me see how we're doing on time here as far as the length of the video, 20 minutes. Okay. So let me see. Where do I want to go from here? I think what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to ask Dave I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to have him grab the picture, and I'm going to show you guys really quick. And then I think then I'll see where I want to go from there. How's that? Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, so here it is. I had asked Dave to take it off the wall for me. So it's basically a canvas print, and look at the symbols. So I wanted to just share with you to take a really close look at the symbols. And then there's another synchronicity I wanted to share with you guys really quick too, about the ya-yo. So if you look very closely at these symbols, and I don't know how close we really need to get this because it's hard for me to see, but so I was like, it struck me, and I thought, I have to have this. And it's very simply made. So, okay, I think that I want to make sure everybody can, maybe you see the whole thing. I don't want Dave to trip over the chair. Okay. So as you can see, I love just the colors and just everything about this thing jumped out at me. Okay, so in the spirit of the synchronicities of the elephants. So if you haven't seen these before, I've been sharing these on my Languages of Light's YouTube channel for the 8 years I've been on YouTube, and I've been using them ever since I saw them. And these are, you can actually get these off of Bashar's website, bashar.org. We just printed them right off the website. So I wanted to share them with you. These are can you guys see it? The sacred circuits. I've got a glare here on my window here. So, okay, there we go. So if you look really closely, they literally tell a story. Now, these are the sacred circuitry that were brought to us as told by Daryl from Bashar, that were given from the Sirius star system. Then they were given to the Yael, who then they were gifted to Bashar, to the Sasani, as a tool, an awakening tool. They're a connection tool. There's so much more to it. I don't want to really paraphrase at this. So I literally started working with these, and this is the circuitry that you see on my face. I keep saying my website. Sorry, Dave had created a program to add up the date to what's today's date, and then show the circuit for that day. Because this is also how I started using them myself, just adding up the day to see, well, what is the energy for today? And as I started to look more closely, you can see the similarities in the symbols on the elephant.
It used to be hanging, but now it's...
And so I started drawing them as instructed, and things started happening. So as you can see, a lot of similarities in, I keep looking back at it, with respect to these symbols. Now, what's really weird is I looked up, I just did a Google search on this picture, and it comes up, there was only one picture, there was only one image I could find that was similar, that came up, and it was exactly the same one. Tribal, it said tribal art canvas print, and it was, I think, Kirkland Home, I think, who is what it came up under. And it was like $7. So not expensive, even new, brand new, right? So, but I got it for $1. And it's a permission slip for me. It's a tool. When I look at it now, it has a lot of, as we apply our own meanings to these things, I apply a lot of interesting meanings now every single time I look at that.
And it also shows that these tribal symbols that were used,
yes,
I'm guessing Africa,
and right, being an
India,
elephant.
These symbols certainly have been shared with humanity long
ago. And so, and I've even seen similar symbols out there in the world in my exploration of these symbols. And the weird thing is okay, so I did a search today on a close-up of the symbols on that canvas. Nothing shows up, like nothing. There's no similarities. There's no reference to what tribal art, what tribe is it? And it's like I couldn't find anything just based upon a simple photographic Google search. And I thought, wow, that's crazy. And I just did that this morning. And if you look, there's a lot of similar symbols on that. And what really struck me is like prepare, express, these very similar. and receive. There it is, sorry. So then, I mean, there's so many ways that I've been guided to share these with all of you, and even in a more, even more so now than ever before. And I was even, for those of you who are new to my channel, thanks and welcome for joining us and indulging us. One day I was inspired to ask Dave, who speaks and reads and writes, if I'm not mistaken, Hebrew. And I asked Dave to translate each of these sacred circuits. Sorry, I don't know what you guys can see here. Hang on. There we go. Into Hebrew, and then their corresponding meaning and number into Hebrew. And there's that's a whole nother set of information about Hebrew and light language and all. And we just watched a fascinating what you call this speaker on the current expo. So that was very interesting, talking a lot about this stuff and secret societies and symbolism in secret societies.
And the Lamed, there's a lot of Lameds on this page.
Lameds?
Lameds.
Oh, he spoke about the Lamed last night. That's right. Oh, the Superman sign. Oh, that was a whole other thing we got to get into. Yeah, I told Dave, I said, we got to start doing more regular stuff because there's so many fun things that we find in the symbolism that would probably surprise you. And I forgot, I have, for the occasion, my Lady Elephant shirt on. I bought this one year, many years ago, for a birthday present for myself. I'm not even sure when. And you might have even seen it in lots of my videos because it's one of my absolute favorite shirts. And as you can see too, a lot of interesting geometrical designs, very similar to the images and colors on that canvas. So I wanted to just share that, and I think maybe I don't know, maybe I should break this off into another video since it's kind of long. So stay tuned for the next part if you're interested in hearing the rest. And I've got a couple elephant cards that I want to share with you guys out of my animal deck. So I didn't want this video to get too long, except to begin to share some of these synchronicities with you, and hopefully it will help maybe illuminate some of your own synchronicities and connections, not only to the animal kingdoms, maybe to the elephant spirits, and to more and more of all that you are. And I just thought of another synchronicity, which I'm going to share in the next video.
And I just wanted to show in this one particular deck that was sitting in front of me, the whale spirit, number 65, 11. Trust the great mystery. And
today is, as we record this, is March 11th. Trust the great mystery. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And I just also happen to see right near it, bee spirit, which is number 7. Sweet results await.
And it's
the interesting thing about the bees is we've sort of, in listening to some of the things yesterday.
Yes, that's right.
Talked about the beekeepers.
That's right.
And Egypt and ancient Egypt. So the bees. So I didn't pick these, I found them. But they popped out.
Wow. Until the next segment, Nyatrove Soporove Shene Kilesovasate Asotoki Shanite Alasotayana. We love you.